Welcome to Suspense Radio. I'm your host, Tracy Devlin, and I'm here today with writing team Vanessa Lilly, Kate Holohan, Lane Fargo, and Kimberly Bell to talk about their newest collaboration, Desperate Deadly Widows. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I have to say, I'm sorry, I'm not at my house as I was mentioning before I hit the record button. So I forgot to bring your book. Does anybody have a book handy there that we can see that
Here we
beautiful
go.
cover? Yay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I have to say, what a great read. It's so much fun. I read the first book too, and just so much fun. I love it when thrillers are exciting and they can make me laugh. You could really tell, at least I felt like I could tell that you guys had a great time writing this story. Is that true?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean it's also so much fun. I think you guys would agree, right? That we got to in the second book, you get to kind of explore these characters in different situations and you get to have them grow and change more. And so that's always so much fun. And even you get to see how their humor develops. I think in the first book for my character, Justine, finding out that her husband was dead and been cheating on her with another character in the book, Camille, kind of took some of the lightness out of what she
Yeah.
was feeling. So in this second book, she's a little more removed. And so she from that tragedy. And so, of course, there's all other sorts of tragedies, but she gets to be a little snarkier and kind of come into some of her own,
Yeah.
which is fun.
Yeah, I really love just all of them. It's so amazing how unique each of the four voices are, and we talk about that a little bit more. But I write with a couple of author friends as well. Now our books are individual books, so it's not like we're writing in the same book, but uh, we tried in the beginning really hard to kind of make it one voice, but I really love how you guys made everything so distinctive and just and the narrators, they did an amazing job too, even amplifying that. And I thought that was amazing how you guys did that. But before we get into all of that, I have some questions about that a little bit later. Maybe we should have each of you introduce yourselves, if we could do that. Lane, would you mind getting us started?
Sure. I'm Lane Fargo. I live in Chicago and I write Meredith, who is in the first book a stripper and now in the second book owns the strip club where she was working, which comes with a whole new set of challenges, especially it's not a spoiler to say this book starts with a dead body in her strip club, which is a
Yeah.
bad day at work.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Who would like Vanessa?
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I write Crystals, an Italian American spark plug,
Mm.
and I live in Rhode Island, which is the setting for the book for starters, and it's very much an inspirational part of it. And we have a wonderful neighborhood called the Hill, which is very Italian American, and that's where Crystal is from. And so it was a lot of fun in the second book. In the first one, she's sort of reeling from the death of her spouse and sort of taking over the law firm, essentially, is what the four
Mhm.
characters do. And so in the next one, she's trying to kind of be a boss and, uh, with varying success.
And her son is there as well, which made it
Yes, that's
even.
right. Rom, her son, who is the heir apparent in some ways, who has his own set of challenges, but has growth for sure.
He did. He did. Kate?
Oh, so I'm Kate Holohan. I live in New Jersey, right outside of Manhattan, and I write Justine, who is a biracial woman with a young child. So she's always juggling kind of work and trying to be a mom, and that becomes kind of a theme in this book because there's a lot of challenges with that, particularly when you're throwing dead bodies into the mix and you have a 7-year-old.
Absolutely. Kimberly?
And I am Kimberly Bell. I write Camille. She is a Southern transplant. And if you hear my voice, you can maybe guess why. She is, in the first book, she's married to one of the partners and having an affair with one of the other partners. And so she's, a typical trophy wife who's kind of um, gotten where she is by using her body to get what she wants from men specifically. So, she has a lot to learn in not just the first book, but the second book as well, when she is, runs across a man where she might have to figure out how to use her brains, and he's immune to her charms the way she's used to, using them. So she
Yeah,
was.
I come from the romance world, so Camille's arc in this book was I really loved it. So thank you for that. That was great. Vanessa, I believe you planted the seed for this series. Would you mind giving us a brief description of Desperate Deadly Widows, and can you share with us how this whole writing collaboration started? Big,
Absolutely.
big question.
Yeah. So, well, Desperate Deadly Widows, sort of picks up a little bit after the first book, Young Rich Widows. And, this story, really like Young Rich Widows, is rooted in a lot of real kind of truth and fiction. We set it in Newport, Rhode Island. We actually had a really fun research trip together, looking into a couple of the very affluent heiress types and wealthy families of Newport. Because we wanted to play around a little bit with some class issues. I think for my character, especially, she kind of wants to prove herself. I think they're all sort of trying to prove themselves in this new world they find themselves in. But then we also, we're thinking about character growth. So where are these ladies going to kind of go from their emotional arcs? And so each of them have their own path. But we had a lot of fun. There's some yacht scenes. And the other really important thread in this is kind of an acknowledgement of the Narragansett tribe in Rhode Island, because again, based truth and fiction, the downtown mall in Providence is on top of indigenous burial land. And so we sort of used that kernel of truth in some of the development of the plot. And one of the characters, the love interest character, is a Narragansett tribal lawyer. And so we loved being able to, like in the first book, especially, we had a lot of the Italian American influence. And in this way, we actually got to kind of bring in some of the original people of this land, and had a great conversation out at Tamaqua Museum with Loren Spears, who's the executive director there. She actually was like brainstorming ideas with us, which was really
Nice,
fun.
nice.
She's wonderful at figuring out plot problems. But I think that was really special for all of us. And so we loved kind of creating the Eden character. And my character learns a lot from him. She's got some growth areas for sure. And then, as a group, this was really a pandemic project. It started in 2020 as just an idea I'd had, a little bit based in real life. My husband's a lawyer, and when he made partner, he said, "Hey, me and the other partners can't fly together because if our plane goes down, the spouses would take over." And I was like, "Oh, that's disturbing." And also, I'm a thriller writer, so interesting. And so I had kind of had that kernel of an idea for a long time. And then my agent then told me that Audible was like looking for thriller authors and like short stories and things. I thought, well, I don't know how to write a short story, but if I bring in three other fantastic writers, we could make a whole book. And so we just pitched this idea, and it was a little different, but we really wanted to have fun, which is why it's set in the 80s, why it's sort of about female friendship, why it's a little bit campy. I always say it's like First Wives Club with murder set in 1980s Prague. So that was just the intention. And I was lucky because I'd met these three before the pandemic and loved their books already, and just thought we could create some really wild characters.
Yes, and mission accomplished. All of them were very wild and unique, and just I'm trying not to talk too much because I'm afraid I might accidentally give away a spoiler or something like that. But I have so many things I want to say about each of these characters, but I will be careful here. talking about the characters, I was so happy to hear whenever you each introduced yourself, you talked about who your primary characters were. And I'm curious, whenever I had briefly mentioned that I was part of a writing collaboration as well, and we had what we called a like veto power on our primary character. So I don't know if you guys have, did you guys have something, Kate, maybe you could speak to this. Did you have something similar where you operated on that, where if you're reading a passage in somebody else's chapter, it's like, "Ah, Justine would never do that." Do you get veto power or can you edit it or how did that work for you all?
Sure. So yes, absolutely. So we all, it goes round robin in the book where we all have write the chapter from our point of view character. And then when they appear in other chapters, we're always kind of going in and tweaking it. So this one sounds a little bit more like Justine, or that sounds more like Crystal. Vanessa particularly goes in and punches up all of Crystal's jokes, which is always great. Sometimes I'll even sit there and be like, Crystal says this with funnier quip. And then it's like, here, Vanessa. But also we spend a lot of time beforehand really plotting it out. So it's not really where we get to the point it's like, oh, Justine would never do that. We kind of know beforehand what's going to happen in a chapter and what our characters are going to do. And we hammer all that stuff out earlier. And so it's really more just keeping the voices consistent. That's where that veto comes in. But yeah, and that doesn't mean that our plot always stays. We've had it where we've gone halfway and then been like, okay, wait, we have to go and rip up some things and reorganize. But we really try and lay a lot of the groundwork early.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's great. Lane, what would you say would be one thing that authors should be aware of if they want to go into this type of collaboration? Do you have some pros and cons that you could share with us?
Well, first of all, learn from us. When we first started working together, Vanessa got us all together, and in our first meeting, we were like, wait, are you guys plotters or pantsers? Like, we had not talked about even the most fundamental, like how we approach a book. Luckily, we're all plotters who love spreadsheets and everything. But if one of us had been
Not
like,
spreadsheets.
we love
Color-coded spreadsheets.
Oh my
Color-coded spreadsheets.
gosh.
Yeah, listen, like Kate's a Capricorn, I'm a Virgo rising. Like we need a spreadsheet.
That's
But
great.
it worked out well. But I would say, like, if you are going to enter into this sort of collaboration, maybe talk about that beforehand. Like we kind of lucked out. I think if one of us had been like, no, I can't plan, I feel too constrained. But it was sort of a good balance where like we had the plan, like Kate said, but then we would improvise as needed. And it was usually Vanessa being like, this needs to be more fun, more crazy, more over the top. And we might resist a little bit at first, but she was always right. Like more yachts, more wolves, more fur coats, more like 80s stuff. Absolutely. And I think just like keep it fun and try and learn from each other. Like I think in editing our own work and then each other's work and like doing the round robin process. Yeah, it was like very educational, sort of, because we all have different blind spots and then things that we are like really keyed into that we pick up on. So it was a great learning experience for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I suppose you picked like maybe the best decade to play in because I don't know if you can go over the top. I don't think there's really
Yeah.
an upper limit in the
No.
80s that you can vault over.
And there are not like commonly like cell phones. We do have
Ah.
one of those big like brick like suitcase cell phones in the sequel, but for the most part there aren't cell phones because there's so much about a thriller plot that instantly becomes easier if there are no cell phones. Like it's pretty great actually. Cheat code.
Yeah. So we are technically celebrating the release of the paperback version of this, right? Yeah, there you go. Now, it was originally published as an Amazon audiobook original, correct? Do I have that
Yes.
right? Yes. And so I was wondering, Kimberly, if you could tell us about that process, what it was like, and was it difficult to convert from an audiobook to a print edition, or how did all that kind of work out for you all?
As I recall with the first book, we kind of learned it in the editing process, right? Because a lot of our the comments from our editor were don't split up the dialogue, with the dialogue tags, with action to show who's doing the speaking, because when you're reading, it sounds very different than when you're, looking at the text. So if you have to keep interrupting, Camille said, then it can kind of be jarring for the listener. So
Yeah.
we learned from that as we were writing our second book, and a lot less of it. But that's really the biggest thing, right? And we went in knowing that the four characters needed to sound very different. Just not their voices, but their accents as well. And so, we really kind of took that into consideration as we were writing their characters. And that was also one of Vanessa's brainchild. When she was putting together this group, she wanted someone who's, four people whose voices would mesh together, but be different enough that you could tell who the characters were that they were writing.
Yeah. Did you get any input into the what do they call them, actors for audiobook? Narrators, thank you. Did you get any input in that, or did they just say, here, this is what you're getting, or give you some options, or how did that work? Kimberly, do you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, sure. They gave us each, as I recall, like 4 or 5 different options, and we could listen to them and say which ones were our preference. And
Okay.
it is, if you've listened to the audiobook, which you have, that their accents are very important to the story. I mean, the way Crystal sounds, there's only one person on the planet who can sound like that.
It's true.
And Camille's she's got a little bit of a Southern accent. So, we really paid attention to how they sounded and their accents when we were choosing.
Yeah, no, it was great. I think you all picked wonderfully for each of your characters, for sure. Did you guys did you get on a Zoom and like play these narrator voices and kind of giggle over which ones you wanted and not? I just feel like I just have this picture of you guys, together and just kind of going through each of them and having a good time with it, but maybe not.
I definitely knew Crystal right away. There was no input needed when the narrator, Dina is her name, when she came on there, and I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it even has just like a slight Jerseyness to it, which Kate, didn't she grow up
We grew
near
up in
you?
the same town.
Yeah.
Grew up we're both from Teaneck, New Jersey originally.
And that's
Oh
the
my gosh.
energy though. Like like there's an energy. So I was like, oh, this is it. So it's very easy for me.
I felt the same about Helen, who plays Meredith. I just heard her voice and was like, that's it. That's my girl. I think we did have some fun chatting about it, like in the group chat.
Yeah.
We were just so excited. It's such a fun process.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Well, one funny
Vanessa,
thing.
oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know if you guys do this, but like when we're writing, I always read back the chapter because it's gonna well, it's even if it's not an audiobook, it's just good to know because you catch things. And I'm always trying to do the different accents now as I'm reading it. And I'm not an actress, so they don't go very well, but I try to like kind of go, okay, is this sounding like how, Crystal would sound? And yeah, so I really respect the actors because when I try to do it, it's a mess.
Vanessa, what did you find the hardest about writing Crystal? Anything?
Yeah, I think I sometimes go a little too broad and campy, and I think emotion's really important. And I think all 3 of the other characters are written with some like pretty big emotional pieces to them. And, so I think for the second book in particular, there's some characterization around kind of Crystal coming into her own and kind of understanding the loyalty of the firm and things. So I sometimes I'll write a chapter and think, am I just writing for laughs here? Like, where's the heart of it? And I think, it's fun to be entertaining, but I do have to make sure that the heart is there to match what I think, my fellow authors are doing with their characters. It's not all about the laughs.
Darn it, huh? All right. Now, some writers, they have rituals they do whenever they sit down to either draft their manuscript or, in the editing process and that sort of thing. Kate, do you have any such rituals? Do you have to smell a certain candle or sit in a particular chair, anything like that?
No, I think I can write anywhere, but I need my spreadsheet. Like it's just the blank page I think is the scariest thing.
Yeah.
And so if on my computer screen alongside it is kind of a roadmap of at least the plot points and some of the themes I'm trying to hit, and maybe you know, if there's an emotional reversal in the chapter, and I kind of understand that plan, and then that allows me, then that frees me up to write, because there isn't this just staring at a blank page going, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really the only thing I need. But I've learned to write while my kids are playing sports in front of me. I'm very good at tuning out the world and writing.
Sounds like you all need to do a workshop at Thriller Fest or something on how to create these beautiful spreadsheets that you guys are using. Um, Kimberly, will we be seeing any more of the widows in the future?
Oh, yes, we will. So we just turned in book number 3, and there's a book number 4 that's coming too.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, when we first came up with the idea for this story, our thought was each widow would have a book. So the first book belonged to Justine. That was she had the biggest arc. Second book was Camille's, and then the next book we get to jump into Meredith's story.
All right.
So yes, and then finally, of course, Crystal gets to close.
Crystal.
down.
All right. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for that. That's great. We will look forward to that. And I believe, I'm not sure about the second one, but I think I saw the first book, Young Rich Widows. It was like a bestseller on Amazon, right?
Audible. It stayed
Audible.
at number 1 for, do you guys remember?
Maybe a couple weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Wow, that's great. Congratulations. That's wonderful. Well, that does it for today. I want to thank you all. We were kind of chuckling a little bit before I hit the record button about getting 5 schedules together. So I really appreciate you all taking time out of your busy schedules to chat with me about this. The paperback version for Desperate Deadly Widows releases on April 8th. Thank you, Kate. Correct? April 8th. Do I have that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be sure to order your copy. Thank you, everyone. Oh, before we leave, do you all want to mention where the best place for readers to find you online would be? Kate?
Oh, sure. Well, I have a website, kateholohan.com, and I am trying to be better at social media and Instagram, and not just repost what Vanessa posts, but so I guess there as well.
Okay, great. Lane?
I'm at lanefargo.com and on Instagram at lanefargo. But Vanessa's, you gotta follow Vanessa. She's the best one.
Okay.
You guys are making me sound chronically online, which I am. So yes, Vanessa Lilly is always on Instagram. So please hang out with me there.
All right,
And
great. How
Violet.
about you?
Hi, Violet.
Hi,
Violet.
Violet. Yeah. How
She's
about
on there more than
Kimberly?
me.
And I am on all the socials as well, Kimberly Bell Books. You can find all the links there.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And we appreciate you and look forward to their next installment of the Widows series. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks, you
Thank
as well.
you.
Thanks so
you.
much.